welcome back. And always fun and honor and surprising when we have our good friend Todd Friel. He is the executive director of Fortis Institute. He's also the host of Wretched TV and Radio, what you experience right here on the Dove Television Network. He's the author of 5 books. He's the producer of over 24 Bible studies courses. And he's just a really plugged-in guy who has a passion to serve Christ at all levels. His organization, quite frankly, is phenomenal, producing Christian media content at levels that are just amazing. And we are so valued to have him, create things that we air right here on the Dove TV network. You can go to fortisinstitute.org is the website, and there's the picture of the landing page. All right, so there he is. Brother Todd, how are you, friend?
Perry. I don't need this kind of pressure, that kind of introduction. It's like you're setting me up for just a complete tumble here. It's like when you introduce a joke by saying, okay, listen to this joke. This is like the funniest thing you'll ever hear in your whole life. And then what happens? Crash and burn. So while I'm grateful for your kind words, you've set the bar way too high for me, bro.
Well, I'm turning a leaf over. And
really?
I've decided to be nice to you.
You know, it didn't go unnoticed. I'll be honest with you. Do you know Ken Ham from Answers in Genesis?
Yes. Yeah, he's quite a guy.
Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you, he is quite a guy. And he has got that Australian humor. And the way that he communicates like affection or I like you is like zing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he shows me a lot of affection.
I've been a recipient of that. In fact, I interviewed him the day that he opened the Ark, inside the Ark.
Oh, is that right?
We Skyped him in. By the way, I say this respectfully, not criticism, not making fun of you. It's just nice to see you the way Mrs. Friel likes to see you.
You almost made it. Have you been to the Ark encounter yet?
No, I have not.
You got to go, Perry.
Yeah.
Seriously. When instead of coming here and spending so much time with us, oh, wait, you never do that. Go to the Ark encounter, and I'm telling you, okay, this is going to sound like the complete opposite of what I just said about setting up a joke and making it sound too amazing, and then it doesn't meet expectations. You have no idea how much your breath will be taken away when you visit the Ark. No matter how many times people go, you're not going to believe it. You're going to pull in and go, I had no idea. It's amazing.
Yeah, I hope to do that someday, so that's good. Well, listen, God, so much to talk to you about. You got so many new things going on. Before I get into deconstruction, tell us, you've changed your name, you've moved things around, you've become an umbrella for so many outreaches. You're also pastoring a church. You are developing Christian content like there's no tomorrow. What's God telling you?
He's already spoken and said, get busy. We've got to make the most of every opportunity, Colossians 4. And we just see that there's so many opportunities with social media, with TV, with radio. We just want to get on it because while the days might not be short in God's eschatological timeline, they're short for all of us. Perry, don't tell me that you do not appreciate Ecclesiastes more the older you get. Vanity, vanity, it's just like a vapor, and only the things that we do for the Lord will last for eternity. So I just want to get on it because I just think that there's so much opportunity these days, especially on the university campuses. I'm telling you, if you got a church close to a campus, you have got to. Okay, I would encourage you to start a campus ministry. You'll be shocked at actually how easy and how much of a blessing it is.
Good stuff. All right, so let's get into this. Deconstruction, evangelical deconstruction. What is that?
It's all the rage. You know, I think we were introduced, or maybe a word started to get used more recently, social contagion. That young people in particularly, they're more vulnerable to what is going on in culture, and they want to be in the in crowd. They want to be distinct. They want to be different. Okay, James Dean, he was a rebel. Everybody wants, kind of get some attention. But we realize that social contagion is indeed valid because ideas infect people. We see these things and go, hey, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. I think I want to do that. And one of those social contagions is deconstruction. The Bible uses a different word. It's called to apostatize. It is to once profess faith in Jesus Christ and then say, no, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to deconstruct it. And most people, they're left in the rubble because deconstructionism is rightly understood. It is to literally brick by brick tear down your faith until you're left with nothing. Now, some people then, like a Jen Hatmaker, who was just interviewed in the New York Times when she said, I think I'm done with religion. I'm done with church. I like Jesus, not his people, but I like Jesus. Yikes. She's an individual who is breaking it down. Now, unlike some, maybe she's going to build it back up. Lecrae, the rapper fellow, Lecrae, I know you listen to rap all the time, right, Perry? So he deconstructed, but now he's supposedly reconstructed. I reject that lingo. Instead of saying deconstruct, if you've got things inside of your theological system or in your church that you think now it's like, ooh, that's not so biblical, don't deconstruct. Reform your theology, because these people, they actually just tear down typically a straw man, and then they usually don't build anything up. But if they do build it back up, most people build up Christianity in their own image, which means it is perfectly in alignment. It's bearing perfect fruit with our expressive individualistic era where everybody believes that what's inside of me needs to be expressed on the outside, and society can't critique. They can't just accept. They must affirm me so that I can feel good about me. And if you disagree with me, that's high crime. And so the idea of being able to deconstruct religion because I don't like it. So I don't agree with it. I'm breaking it down. Now I'm going to build it back up so that it meets my approval. So deconstructionism is all the rage because it's a social contagion and it speaks to our own autonomy. And fundamentally, it is over the issue of authority. Did God really say? And if we aren't aware that deconstruction is going on, we're missing a trend that we need to be aware of.
So is this a theological rejection? Is it a rejection of the organized church? Is it a rejection of, I don't like these people, I'm going to do my own thing? What is it?
Yes. I mean, everybody's different, of course, but my take on the majority of people that deconstruct, and I'm telling you, this is a substantial trend. So all of these people, for instance, the Gen Zers, they grew up in the church. Perry, before the Gen Zers came along, we knew 60 to 80% of the kids were going to university and presumably backsliding. But the Gen Zers, they're even more so that they are desiring to just be done with Christianity. And they're not actually deconstructing Christianity. This is how it works. I say they're tilting at Christian windmills. You remember the story of Don Quixote? He was the Spanish nobleman. He just loved knights and lore and heroism. So he went through the Spanish countryside looking to engage as a knight. All he could find were some windmills that he imagined were giants, and so he started tilting with them. He dropped his lance and he charged against them. Of course, he got knocked off of his horse because they weren't actual giants. They were windmills. And I think that's what's happening mostly in the deconstruction movement. Here's what they'll do. They'll see something inside of the church. They'll see something theological. They will see the activity of individuals that they don't like. They'll identify something that they don't like. They'll argue against that and say, therefore, Christianity is not worth following. So, for instance, I think this is helpful. Let's say that I said, revolving doors are bad. I just, people get stuck in them. Nobody knows when to go. I don't think they're efficient. Revolving doors are bad. The Empire State Building has revolving doors. Therefore, the Empire State Building shouldn't be trusted. You'd go, well, wait, what? That syllogism doesn't actually work. And the same thing is true so often with deconstructionism. They will say, for instance, I don't like Donald Trump. That's one of the biggies, by the way. I don't like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is bad. Evangelicals seem to embrace Donald Trump. Therefore, I reject Christianity. Now, that syllogism is not logical, but that is the process. They're not deconstructing Jesus Christ. They're not deconstructing the Bible usually. Instead, they're deconstructing something they don't like by conflating it with the real thing, which means they are tilting at Christian windmills.
Okay, let me take a break because I got a couple of questions here and I want to not have to interrupt you when you're answering. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, go to fortisinstitute.org. That's Todd's website. And of course, you'll see his program, Wretched TV, here, along with, I know we carry Transform, we carry Road to Truth.
Road to Truth, yeah.
What else are you doing? All I know is you send me content and I put it on the air.
Have you been tracking Transformed? If you haven't been watching season 4, oh, man.
No, I have. It's pretty stunning.
Oh, it's so good, and it's so helpful.
Oh, it is. Yes, spot on. All right, fortisinstitute.org. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and always great to have with us Todd Friel. He's Executive Director of Fortis Institute, host of Wretched TV that you see right here on the Dove Television Network, along with Road Trip to Truth and Transform, other programs that he and his organization produce. You can go to fortisinstitute.org, and there's the landing page. Very, very resourceful. We're talking about deconstructionism within the church. This is such an interesting topic. I guess one of the big questions here is, I understand somebody could look in the church and be upset because of hypocrites, and it could produce a hurt. People are hurt by the church. I get all that. But I'm wondering if those who are involved in deconstruction, gosh, I don't know if I should ask this question, but I will. Were they authentically saved?
Good. No, the reason that I don't think that you need to bristle at that question, I understand why you do, but I don't think we need to, is because the Bible makes it clear. First John talks about those who went out from among us were never a part of us. So if somebody professes to be a believer, they then forget deconstruction, they apostatize. It indicates they never had genuine salvific faith. Now, you don't just need an epistle. We go to the Gospels. Jesus was banging the nail with a hammer repeatedly regarding true and false converts, those with a spurious faith. They make a profession. The seed, the good seed, falls on one of 4 soils. It kind of springs up, it withers away, trials, tribulation, temptation, persecution. It reveals that they were never genuinely saved because there was no root growing underneath the soil. Jesus talked about wise virgins and foolish virgins. In other words, true and false converts. He talked about good fish and rotten fish. He talked about wheat and tares. He talked about sheep and goats. In other words, Jesus let us know well in advance, get ready. There are going to be a lot of false converts. And we see that even with his ministry. Those who followed him, those who presumably sang Hosanna, then we're shouting, crucify him. What happened? Well, they were just genuinely not converted. So if you're dealing with somebody who says they deconstructed, you'll have to exercise wisdom as to whether or not you want to share with them. Actually, you were never a Christian in the first place. Do you know Rhett McLaughlin by any chance,
No.
Perry, from YouTube fame? He had a very, very popular, seemed like a nice enough fellow. They had a very popular YouTube page, YouTube channel, and they were overtly evangelical. Well, both of them, air quotes, deconstructed. And he goes about the business of explaining why he did that. And he bristles. Now, this is a real bristler. When somebody says to him, well, dude, it means that you were never a Christian in the first place, he gets a little bit irate. It's like, yes, I wasn't. I really, really meant it. Well, the Bible has a different opinion. The Bible says if you say you really meant it, but you're no longer following Jesus Christ, you were self-deceived, you didn't really mean it, you were a false convert.
Is it possible those who are deconstructing who are really struggling with subordinating to what the gospel is all about, to what the do's and don'ts of Christianity are about.
Yeah.
So basically what they're also struggling with, maybe, is they're struggling with letting go of a sin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another tender one. The whole issue of sin is a biggie for the deconstruction movement. First of all, they don't like the original sin idea. They don't like being told from youth, you were a terrorist. You were totally depraved from birth. And to me, Perry, this one is always a mystery to me, because if there's anything like scientifically verifiable, it would be original sin. Go to Chuck E. Cheese's if you don't think that kids are sinners. We've got a delightful couple in our church, and they've got this adorable little girl. I want to kidnap this little girl. She's so adorable. And she is sweet, but she got to be about 12 months old, and they were like, she's learned new vocabulary. She now says no. And I asked her, I said, and how many hours did it take for you to teach her to tell you no? She doesn't want to do what she's told. And they were like, we never taught her that. Bingo, you don't have to teach a kid how to sin. We're like fish in water, because we are born in iniquity. That's what David admitted. In sin was I born. In iniquity did my mother conceive me. We are totally depraved sinners. The deconstructionist doesn't like it. They reject it. Furthermore, they're not a big fan of you saying the very thing that you just said, Perry, which is totally correct, but we just need to be aware. If you say to them, are you sure you didn't deconstruct because you have a sin? And even though it's sometimes really obvious, for instance, they don't like the sexual mores of the Bible, so they want to do their own thing. And so they have to change their theology. That's what Jen Hatmaker did. She had a daughter who came out of the closet, and suddenly she switched her thinking, her theology on sexual issues. Sometimes it's really obvious, but if you point it out to them, they have a tendency to get a little agitated. So be aware of that one and use it judiciously.
Yeah. Concealed sin is a cancer.
Oh, your bones ache. As David in Psalm 38, it's like, everything is just wrong. Everything is bad. And that, by the way, is one of the messages. We're going to 4 university campuses this fall. This is kind of a trial run for us. We're going to see how it's received and maybe do more next year. But we're going to talk about deconstruction, and when you are not, when you're not in alignment with God, when you're not in alignment with reality, it's just never right. It's just never good. I think that's why we see so much anxiety, depression, suicidal ideations. It's because you're not in alignment with the straight stick. You're crooked and you're bent, and it's like being in a job, and you and your boss are at war with one another. Okay, you can go to work every day, but it ain't fun. Ditto with life. If you're at war with your Creator, and if you're outside of Christ, you're at war with your Creator. Jesus said, if you're not for me, you're against me. People aren't neutral about Jesus. You're for him or against him. If you're against Jesus, it can never be good. And I might suggest, Perry, one of the things that we can do with the deconstructionists, and I'll be attempting to do at Oklahoma State University and Oklahoma University in October, is to let them know something that they've probably never heard about Christianity. They likely think it's a system of rules, it's a prosperity message, it's life enhancement that didn't really work out. The Christian gospel is God is amazing. God is rich in mercy. God is good, and God desires to save sinners like you and me because he loves righteousness and judgment, and therefore he's provoked to act on his righteousness and execute justice. He wants to take your sin problem out of the way, and he came up with a staggering plan for that, to send his own son to bruise him, to crush him, so that you don't have to be bruised and crushed. That's how good God is. Run to Jesus Christ, and suddenly your life will go from black and white to technicolor. Everything will start to make sense. Guilt and shame will be gone. You'll start to do things that have eternal implications. And you, as you age, will no longer fear death, because you know that you're going to be with the one who died to save you. In other words, we need to proclaim Christianity as more amazing than I think most people realize.
Okay, a couple things here before I run out of time. I understand those who would be move towards deconstruction if, in fact, that the teaching of the church would give them the impression that they have to be subordinate, that it comes with some boundaries and rules and regulations that perhaps they don't want. I get that. But what do we do with the deconstructionist that has been hurt by the church?
Mm-hmm. I think we need to enter into that hurt. Honestly, you don't give up ground by being sympathetic or empathetic. You just don't. Surprisingly, one of the big reasons, one of the windmills that I think the deconstructionists offer is the purity movement. Do you remember the purity movement of the 90s, Perry? Mm-hmm. The purity ring, the purity conferences. Well-intended, right in its premise that it is best to restrain from those activities until you're married. But it started to get weighed down with a lot of legalism, a lot of scare tactics. Hey, you have sex before marriage, you're going to get a disease. And who's going to want to marry somebody with a disease? And it got really kind of like, ooh, legalistic and awful. Furthermore, it gave the impression that intimacy is just by nature a terrible thing. You don't want to do that. Don't do that. You got to wait till marriage. Don't do that. Well, you get this feeling like sex, big, bad, terrible, awful. Got to run away from that. Then you get married. Oh, and then you're allowed to do it. So a lot of people did get goofed up from it. And rather than defending it, I'm willing to go, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The gospel isn't about legalism. The gospel isn't about mere morality. The gospel is we break his laws. We are immoral, but he died to save us, and he's willing to forgive, and you can be made a virgin again in Jesus Christ. So I don't want to defend bad behavior. I think I want to enter into it with them.
Okay, less than a minute. In this whole argument, do we allow for the transcendence of God?
Well, there's a danger here. We don't want to soften the Christian faith because, well, they've been kind of, beat up a little bit by Christianity, whether it's real or imagined. We don't want to lose the holiness, the righteousness, the justice element of God, that he is provoked to anger. He's angry at the wicked every day. He's high, holy. He's a consuming fire. So we want to be thoughtful. We want to be sensitive. We want to be aware. But we don't want to water down the gospel to make it palatable, because when we do that, we lessen the gospel, because the real gospel is amazing. And once somebody knows it, they should never want to deconstruct it.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, let me encourage you to go to fortisinstitute.org. That's the website. And there, all of these things that we're talking about.
It's free. It's all free. Everything is free on the web. Fortis Plus, everything is free.
Isn't that amazing?
Sorry, did you hear a voice someplace?
Every time.
That was weird. I thought I kept hearing free.
Every time we bring you on the show, I hear all kinds of voices.
That's me.
And there's things flying by. I got to grab them out of the sky. Hey, good to see you. Don't be surprised if there is a flash visit in November.
Oh, all righty. Looking forward to it. And then we'll go to the Ark Encounter together.
Oh, okay. We can set that up. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you. God bless.
Love you guys at the Dove.